about the key people. I like crazy, oh, they keep passing. Go around them, they keep people. I like crazy, oh, they keep passing. Oh, they use a lot of work about the key people. I like crazy, oh, they keep passing. Go around them, they keep people. I like crazy, oh, they keep passing. Salam alaikum, alaikum, assalami. Salam alaikum, say na peace na we want. But no be Muslim, it's not a Christian. And we there for Bible, make we kill ourselves. Salam alaikum, alaikum, assalami. Salam alaikum, say na peace na we want. But no be Christian, it's not a Muslim. And we there for Quran, make we bump ourselves. They come from Shad, they want on with terrorists. Come from Niger, they want on with terrorists. Every day by day, them are bombing our schools, killing our youth. Say we know they happy. So they use a lot of work without the key people. I like crazy, oh they keep passing. Go around them, they keep people. I like crazy, oh they keep passing. But they use a lot of work without the key people. I like crazy, oh they keep passing. Go around them, they keep people. I like crazy, oh they
Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Temitope Ododo. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Temitope Ododo. It's a great honor to have you join us. Now, if you're watching us, I want you to like this page. I want you to share this page. I want you to tell your friends that we are live. And our conversation today is about what has just happened in Owo, Ondo State. You are all witness to the brutal and senseless killing of innocent people who have just gone to worship God, not interested in politics, just going there to worship their God, and they've been slain. So if you have a comment, please drop your comment. It's very important that you drop your comment. Ask us questions, because I've got with me today, joining me live, is my brother Chidi. Thank you so much for joining me on a short notice. How are you today, and how are you enjoying your weekend after the great celebration that we've had in the UK? 70 years of the Queen on the throne. God bless the Queen. God bless the United Kingdom, where we are here. We don't have any iron on our doors. You and me, we don't need it. We only just need to pick up our phone and make a 999 call, and we're safe. They're going to be here in 10 minutes. Especially when you tell them that they're holding a knife or a gun, they will send the cavalry, the proper ones. In Nigeria, it's only in Nigeria that people will enter into a town, kill the people in a very public space like that, and then disappear into thin air. What is your view about what is happening in Nigeria, especially with the Owo issue? Can you just give me your own summary of that situation? What you feel about the situation in Owo?
So good evening, first, and same. I hope you had a good weekend. Hope you got out there and enjoyed the long weekend and Her Majesty's Jubilee. It was a good time, and I think I'm even going to touch on that as part of what how I'm going to respond to you, because it's very important. It's very important that we kind of understand how a country functions properly, and a country that is not just dysfunctional, its dysfunctionality is even dysfunctional. So I'll start first with the Owo killing. I'm going to be very limited in what I say, mainly because I like most people, don't know the full facts. What we do know for sure is that there was an attack on this church. This church allegedly there were explosives as well as guns, small arms used. Casualties have been rumored to be from anything up to 50 to 100. We know it was a Catholic church. We know it was attacked on a Sunday. The identity of the attackers is not clear. There are people putting out comments about what the identity of the attackers are, and there is nothing right now to verify who they are. So I'm not even going to mention any group or anything like that. I'm only going to talk in generalities. So let's start first from as I said, from what we know, that there was an attack on a church. Now, this isn't obviously the first church attack in Nigeria. It's not the first church attack even in the south. We had a church attack in the southeast a few years back. Now that church attack turned out not to be a terrorist attack. It turned out to be a problem between criminals. Now, whether it's terrorist or it's not terrorist, the main thing that we need to know is that somehow people with weapons were able to get into a place, house of worship, school, whatever it is, commit whatever acts they wanted to commit and withdraw without any opposition. Now, why do I kind of emphasize this is that it gets to the where I'm talking about, where Nigeria is so dysfunctional that the dysfunctionality is even dysfunctional. So look at what's been happening in the north, where we had we've had church bombings on churches, attacks on churches. That's been happening to the point where it's no longer even something worth commenting on. We've now got to the point where we had a mass abduction in Chibok, back in Jonathan's time, which was an international event. There will now be mass abductions almost every month in Nigeria. We've had the train abduction from the Kaduna Abuja train. These people are still in detention, and I'm ready to guarantee that there are efforts being undertaken by the government to get them released. I'm really hoping there are. But where it comes down to the poor quality of leadership we had is that there is no way that that event would happen here in the UK and a minister has not resigned, a commissioner of police has not resigned, somebody somewhere has resigned. But in fact, what we had was the Minister of Transport going the next day to go and collect form for the presidential ticket. He didn't even pretend to care about these people. The only comment that was made was that if you have been given so and so billions, he will install some unknown gadgets that would have prevented this tragedy. Now let's bring that back to the UK. As you said, here in the UK now, if we hear people who are on the phone, the police are coming. If I mention somebody's outside my house, they're gone. The place is surrounded. There's helicopters flying over before you even say anything. That's just we are all confident in that. As you said, we had this Jubilee weekend, the Jubilee celebrations. People went out with their kids. This is the capital, one of the biggest capital cities in the world. A threat from every terrorist in the group. We're currently in a proxy war with Russia. Anything could have happened, but nobody was worried about taking themselves, their kids, to go into the central London packed group. Anybody could have done anything, but everybody knew deep down inside that the government and the authorities are doing their best to keep them safe. Now, again, it comes back to this jubilee. What is it? What's the point? Is it really about just celebrating the queen? It's not. It's a way of the country telling the people, reconnecting with the people, telling people this is our story. This is what we all stand for. This is what we all believe in. Now, there are many people who would have gone to that jubilee celebration in London who don't like the queen, don't like the monarchy, don't want to, but they've managed to create a consistent thread that everybody can buy into, everybody can understand, everybody can accept, and everybody feels this is something that we can all be part of. If we went there now, two of us, if we had gone and we were flying a Nigerian flag, nobody will beat us. Nobody will tell us go back to where you came from or go and jump in the river or you must vote for this person. There will be that spirit of acceptance. So these are the two key things. We can talk about the actual fact itself of the attack and the tragedy and the murder of those innocent people. We're also talking about the bigger, wider issue of a country that the leadership is so poor that we don't even have a narrative that unites us. There's, right now already as we are, it's already turning into, as I said, I don't want to start mentioning tribes, but we're calling tribes, we're calling religions. Tomorrow, I can guarantee before tomorrow now, it will move on to another tribe, another political something, and then in a few days, it will all be forgotten. What we'll be talking about is who picked the nomination and who paid this delegate and who is destined to rule Nigeria. That's the problem. That's the fundamental problem. But I'll stop there.
Bring in let me bring in my brother Femi Aratokun to join us in this conversation. This is quite a very sad story for him because it comes from that, he hails from that area. So, and I want to know what you are feeling because I know you've been live on YouTube, on Facebook, and you've been chatting about this particular issue. We know that the palace of the Oba of the Oluwo of the Wo is just next door. This is where everything becomes very funny in Nigeria. When the Methodist head of the Methodist was picked up, he said they were even walking behind the military when those guys were collecting 100 million. 100 million is a lot of money. But yeah, they were passing by, and the military are saying, okay, just tell us where or what. I can't understand. You don't even know where you drop your people, where your people are stationed in a particular area. You're saying, tell us which particular area. They should. So what is your view on this, Mr. Femi? What is your view, especially knowing that you know about this particular area?
It is, you see, Temitope Chidi, thanks for bringing me on board. It is not about me knowing about this area. I am from Owo. I'm a native of Owo, and I know this very church. The church has been existing even before I was born, anyway. So it's not just a new church. They share the same boundary with the market. That is the main market, which is the Oba's market, and they share boundary with the Oba's Palace as well. This is not just a quiet street. It's a very known street in Owo, which is just about, we have two police stations in Owo. The first one is about, very small unit police station, which is about not less than 10 minutes drive to this place in Okemapo area in Owo. And it's not up to about, let me say, another 20 minutes drive to the main police station in Owo. So even if there's any crisis at all, the first key thing is this: was there any response at all from the police station? The answer to that is no. Why? There were no vehicles. Even if there were vehicles, the question again is going to be, do they have fuel in their vehicles? You see, we have a fundamental problem when it comes to the security welfare. You don't expect the police in Nigeria to give what they don't have. They are not miracle makers. We turn them into beggars. So what we turn them into is what we're seeing today. I, for one, personally, I have called the Oba of Owo one-on-one. That was about 2 years ago. Before the reign of the former Olowo for Olagbegi, I made a lot of attempts to see him. But guess what? Chidi, you won't believe it. His men refused to let me see him. Why? Because of bribe. Oh, yes. And 2 years ago, when Amotekun was formed, before Amotekun was formed, I traveled to Owo. I traveled to Akure.
I'm aware of that.
I met with the civil defense corps commanders. I spoke to one of their city counterterrorism, whatever they call it. And this is a guy that point blank told me that, look, if I don't wear the brand, there's no way I can come in over here to come and deliver a training program. Something that is going to help you to help others. Look, until we start talking about the fundamental problems, we can't just scratch it off and, cement it and say, okay, let us build a new structure on it. It's not going to work.
Okay. Hold your thoughts for 1 minute. One of our viewers, Mr. Daniel Banjo, says it is our joint responsibility to be vigilant and report in real time any suspicious movement or person. And let me go to Mr. Chidi here in 1 minute. We here, three of us, we work in this industry. I have to fight the Catholic Church. I'm sorry, I have to fight them, regardless of whatever anybody might say. We have to fight them because, some of the issues that you've highlighted very quickly is that we don't want to start, joining others because we are professionals to say point fingers at certain group. But if they had CCTV, if they had security people there, these things will have slowed down these individuals in terms of the activities they carry out. Maybe it will not stop them fully. But I just been to church. In my church, we do sweep of the church premises, regardless of what it is. We do a sweep of the church premises before we start. We do a sweep of the church premises after we finish. We stand. We have people at the aisle, security guys at each aisle, which are volunteers in the church. We have people at the door. We have people at the gate. We have security. We have people who are layers, different layers of people that could have raised their alarm when they saw those people coming, and at least some people, maybe few, will have been saved. The other thing I noticed, and I want you to make a point, is that People
No,
just
no,
went in to take.
Tokwe.
Hold on. I know
I
because
think no,
I
no.
will
Let
let you
me
go.
break
Hold
in
on.
there. No, I won't allow that
You won't
because
allow what?
I won't allow your statement to go quickly off the air.
Yeah.
Me and you, we've been to Nigeria so many times. We've been to
Yeah.
Maiduguri together.
Yeah.
Do you really understand that there is nothing like awareness training program for any environment in Nigeria? So how
No.
would you ever know what is coming or what is
Yeah,
happening?
but we're talking of the Catholic Church. This is an establishment. This is a big establishment. It's not like the local church. So they should have
Temitope,
a risk.
churches believe
They
in
should have a
miracles.
risk
They believe God is going to
register.
protect them rather than using physical security.
What
Do
do you
you know
say
how
to this,
many of
Mr.
them we've
Chidi?
given
Yeah,
proposals together? Me and you.
true,
You've given proposals to Khan. How
true,
many times have they called you? No,
true.
Chidi, I want Tokpe to answer the question himself.
Okay, I can say to you that after the Niger State attack, I was invited by the Khan of Mina to speak to them, and I spoke to 300, I think between 300 to 350 pastors about church security, and that led to me writing a book on church security. And touch wood, since then there have not been any touch attack in in Niger State, literally,
Or
because
we
I
see
spoke.
Christian association having meetings. So what does it cost them to raise awareness into all this, despite the attacks going on in the north, in the east, and
to,
everywhere? Must it
to
be a one-off training program or
it
a
could even
one-off
be a
speech or a
booklet.
one-off seminar or a
It,
one-off summit?
it could even be a booklet. And you see, the thing that annoys me, and I want Chidi to interject into this. The thing that annoys me is that the Nigeria police will say they're on top of it, but I've not seen any of those police say we have a desk for church security to explain or advise them on how to keep or how to maintain those places. I went to Niger State and I realized that there are churches that they only have one entrance that goes into the church. They don't even have two entrances. And I say, if fire happens there, and all their windows are even barricaded, so that even if fire happens, even if it's just a mere spark, nothing will happen. All of those people will die in that church. But it shows you that they are not putting in place the necessary security infrastructure that those soft target areas need in order to keep those individuals safe. What do you have to say to that, Mr. Chidi?
Yeah, so I think I kind of take from both your points. First I'd like to extend my condolences to Femi for what's happening in your place, and as we all say now, Nigeria will happen to all of us. It was not, it was
Yeah.
last year. I'm laughing because last year it was my village that was being burnt by the Nigerian army. Um, it's happening to all of us. Whatever we do, whatever we say, it's happening to all of us. But well, we keep going. I think there's so many things that we have to open up here and kind of be realistic about in that. It's very difficult for these churches, especially as I said in the south. We're under this kind of false um illusion that we're all safe, everything is great, or at least these problems are happening up there. We all know that the average Nigerian, much less even the average southerner, even the average northern person in Abuja, doesn't know what's going on in Maiduguri, doesn't know what's going on in our friends that are in Abuja. If you tell them what is going on just in what's the name of this place just outside just on the road going to they don't know. They think everything is because they're going to shopping mall and having shawarma. That's Nigeria. Nigeria, outside of the big cities, Nigeria is a different country. It's a completely different country where there's nothing, and our people don't understand that. And so with this now, hopefully now this is a wake up call. Hopefully now the Catholic Church and other churches will start disseminating security measures. But the reality is this, and it's the same thing the Americans are seeing with their mass shooting thing. You can harden a target as much as you like. You can do whatever you want. If somebody wants to get, especially a public place, if
Yeah.
somebody wants to get into that place and cause harm, they will do it. Because I don't even need to go into the church. I can just stand outside as you're coming out and be shooting people as they're coming out. I can throw a few Molotov cocktails inside, so the place is on fire. Everybody's rushing out. I'm shooting you as you're rushing out. I
True.
can drive it as everyone comes out as in the street is saying goodbye. I can drive a trailer down the road and crush people. If you are determined to attack, you will find a
Yes.
way to attack. So it's
True.
about preventing it. It's about, obviously, I'm not saying don't harden the targets, make it difficult to conduct the attack. But the important thing is preventing it. And they're not just preventing it. When the attack has happened, catch the perpetrators and punish them. Let everybody see these people did this, and this has happened to them. And then at least there's a deterrent effect.
I saw something, and I want both of you to comment on it in one minute. I saw something attributed to the governor, saying that these are Malians who have come from Libya and committed this attack. And I wanted to ask if both of you ascribe to that narrative, because number one, the question I ask is, if that is the case, why did he not share that intelligence with the soft target areas in the state to say, okay, I've actually gotten intelligence to say this is going to happen, and put the state at a red alert? How come this is within 2-3 hours of this happening, they are associating it with Malians from Libya who were trained in Libya? And my question is, they passed Oyo, they passed Ondo, they passed Ibadan, and they decide that it's boys or what, that they want to come and sit down and kill people. Does it make sense to you, as somebody, both of you, as people that have been working in the industry for quite some time?
I'll just jump in quickly and say, this is my problem with, again, this hot takes. Everybody wants to come out and say something and either blame this side or blame that side. There's so many factors in this. That's why I'm even trying to be so circumspect. This is the man's hometown as well. This is political season. We know right now, I'm just throwing things out there, I'm not saying that this is the cost. We know right now, when the politics high season, we know that within the Southwest itself, there's political division. We know that in the South, there's political division. We know there's a North-South problem. We know there's a PDP, APC problem. We know there's all these problems. We have no idea what might be behind this. This is why I say, looking at trying to blame one set of people. If I want to cause problem now, can I not just go and dress people up in Fulani cloth and shout? I'm just saying as an example, and let them shout out Akaba and then go and start killing people and sit them. Someone to say, see, this is what these people have done. Or I can dress people up in IPOP clothes, and they can run out and start shouting the Bokwenu, Mazi Namdekanu, and kill people. And we're in a very precarious time, and we know that our political class, they have no conscience. They will use whatever it is to cause a problem with amongst people. So I'll take anything anybody says right now with a grain of salt. Let the evidence start coming up properly, and then we know what's going on.
Femi.
Governor Keredelu said what he's got to say, maybe just to diffuse or de-escalate the tension. That's fine. But personally, myself, just like what Chidi said, I think it's got to be fully questioned. When you have such high intel and you're not putting your security men at alert towards some sort of environment, some key hotspots, and letting the community, you swore an oath to actually govern a state, to govern the people and everything, to protect them, and you have this kind of intel, and okay, based on your intel, it's more like you are under really how do I put it? It's inevitable that it's going to happen, and you're not letting people prepare. I mean, that is a sackable offense to me. And if I'm to be in government, I think you should just do the disgraceful needful to just leave, because you've allowed that to happen, and you're now letting us know that they are from Mali, and does that simply mean they chose your own town intentionally to spite you, or what? It takes so much for me to consume and to believe in that narrative. But again,
one of our viewers from Italy said, "May the soul of the innocent souls rest in peace." The question now is, how long are we going to continue with this? I asked the question: is southern Nigeria really safe now? And somebody asked me before coming on air, and I want to throw these two questions, this question to both of you. I know we are not politicians, we are security analysts. Is Southwest safe? And is the carving? Someone said, why can't they just carve out Islamic Republic of Nigeria in the north there, so that they could be doing their Islamic thing there, and maybe that will save us from all this. And another person there told me, even if you create it, they will still come down to you and still come and create trouble, because you are you are bordering, you are a border to that country. So there's no escape for you. And I want to ask, is it that if you allow them to create their Sharia law in the north, maybe, and let them be on their own, maybe that is a solution, because that's part of the narrative that is strengthening the Yoruba nation and the Biafrans, because they say, you know what, they are killing our people. We don't need this killing. Why can't we just go on our own? And the question we need to ask is that the only solution to these security challenges that we're facing, that everybody should just go on their own? I know this is a political question. I know it's not something you guys like to answer, but I think it's a question that my people are asking, and I think it's only appropriate that I ask you as security experts to give your own prediction on what you see is happening.
Okay, let me just chip in into that. I don't subscribe to the idea of Hausa living, Igbo staying, Yoruba staying, or carving out the north away from the rest and stuff like that. Look, even if you carve it out, let us say this way, Chidi, you know what the porosity in the north is when it comes to Mali, Chad, and Nigeria. There are some borders that are just, gutters and sticks. So the same thing will happen because we all have so many porous areas around our borders in the state. So making them to live or, to have their own Sharia law or whatsoever is not really going to help. And I don't think that is the situation. However, if there is a vote that says, okay, North, do you want your Sharia law? Then have it and stay in peace and don't bring your Sharia wahala down to the south or to the east. That's fine. Look, time is changing. A lot of things are changing. And one of the key things that is changing is the way we live now is actually changing. So maybe it's high time for our politicians to start looking into or thinking outward and inwards that, okay, what could be the best solution to all this? Because what might be the best solution might still not be on the table right now. We might just be flipping around and don't even saying the right thing. However, it's worth thinking, it's worth looking into. And I hope they can actually do the needful. Don't get me wrong, even in UK that we all live, there are so many unrest going on. But our security officers there, our politicians, they have a way of de-escalating all these issues without the member of public knowing. So what does it cost us in Nigeria to do the same? Does that simply mean we are not learned enough? Does that simply mean we are not strong enough to do the right thing, or what? Or we just want to shy away from it? Even at all, we shy away from it. Remember, political posts will never last more than 8 years or 4 years or thereabout. After that, what comes next? So whatever Buhari is doing today, whatever all these governors are doing today, give or take, after 4 years, after 8 years, they are back in the system. Let's see how they're going to cope with it. That's my own take.
Okay, Mr. Chidi, what's your view on that?
I'm not of the opinion that separating Nigeria will help. We've passed that point. I don't see how an independent Eastern region or Niger Delta region or even Arawa region is going to be more secure. We still have the same fundamental problems. This is the thing. Exactly as Femi has said, we're not. Well, it's not a matter of all of a sudden now we've got two different passports and all our problems have gone away. Again, speaking as a Igbo man, like a good like maybe 25 or 15% of our population is scattered around Nigeria. So there's a fundamental problem there, and there's so many practical problems. Let's talk about the practical problems. Okay, we divide Nigeria. Who takes Nigeria's debt? How does it get divided? Who takes the assets? How do we share our navy? How do we share our air force? How do we share the army? How do we share the embassies? We've talked about debts. Who takes the assets? How is there going to be a sharing formula? How do we agree? What's the formula for agreeing on transport? If, for example, with the North, the North becomes an independent country, how does it get access to the sea? Do we have an agreement? Do we have a dedicated corridor for them? Or is it, what do we do about taxation? What do we do about the money in our reserve? How does it get shared? What's the formula? Is it based on our population figures, which we don't have or we manufacture every 10 seconds? There's so many practical problems to it that it will inevitably lead to additional conflict. And okay, it comes to conflict. You want to fight it out. What is our political leadership? I speak again as somebody from the southeast. We have the worst political leadership in the country, bar none. They've shown their antecedents now with this primary something where you can see there's no consensus, there's no unity, there's no even Igbo agenda. It's just every man for what he can pack into his pocket. So are these the people who are going to negotiate, the southeast living in Nigeria or the southwest living in Nigeria? You can see the southwest political leadership as well. It's not much better, much less the north, where their own people are being slaughtered and it doesn't seem to matter. So it's not the answer. The fundamental problems of Nigeria still remain, and the fundamental problems of Nigeria are that we have a very bad political class, we have a huge population, a huge youth population, and we have no mechanism by which to channel all our creativity into providing for that population. So no, I would strongly suggest that we have to stick this out. And what I would say is that if 50 years from now, 100 years from now, Nigeria is a functioning country and everybody comes together and sits down and says, okay, it's enough, let's go, then we can do it in a sensible way. We can talk about it and say, okay, this is how we're going to separate. So like Czech Republic and Slovakia, like Russia when the Soviet Union when it disintegrated. There are ways of doing it, but we are not ready for that at all.
Thank you so much for that. Let me play this video because I want your views on there's some videos that are trending. I just wanted to get your views on it. Where is it? Okay, that's the kind of video that is trending in the last 1 or 2 hours. That one of the attackers in the church was actually picked up. We don't know if that is true or not. I don't know that particular area. Doesn't look like that particular area based on the videos that I've seen. But just I should throw it out there if any of you have seen that video or if you are aware of that video.
Yes, Temitope, I've seen the video and I can tell you for a fact that is not a war. Even the language you're speaking, I really don't understand the language, and I find the whole thing looks so. Yes, it could be Nigeria, I don't know, but that is not a war, and that
it's
is
Nigeria. Definitely, it's Nigeria because the policeman that tackled the guy from behind is wearing a policeman's uniform. Definitely.
Yeah, and even Chidi, if you look at the video very well, you can see that the awareness around the market area is just like business of the day.
Business. The guy was just holding the gun, about to crack.
And even the market sellers are not just jumping and running away from this area at all. They're just like, just come and buy my gari and sugar and whatever. That is all they're after. So we just like you said, Chidi, we have a problem. And part of the problem we have is the situational awareness when it comes to security matters is still zero level in Nigeria today.
Chidi, what's your view?
I don't think that in fact I'm almost 100% sure that that's not from the incident. I think I don't know if it's Nigeria. It may most likely West Africa, but the language doesn't even sound like it. I mean, I don't know if it's Nigerian language, but it doesn't sound very Nigerian per se. So I don't know what I think we can, as Remy said, we can use it to highlight the wider point of how do we secure our public spaces? How do we secure our market? I mean, that policeman was clearly very, very brave, running in there, jumping to tackle the guy. But what was everyone else doing? there was somebody clearly just filming, which is good, helps us to see what's going on. But what's their kind of what's the word I'm looking for? What's their plan? Do our markets have any kind of emergency plan? It does a problem you go through. Everywhere you go here, again, we keep bringing it back here. It sounds very unfair. It sounds like we're maybe always emphasizing how we're going to go better. But the point is that at least here, if you're in a building, everywhere you go, there's a big sign saying if there's a fire, go here. If there's a this, go there. Fair enough. I'm sure most of us don't read these signs most often, but at least there's this plan, there's a structure. And in a big office building, they have fire drills, they have everything. You would think that by now in Nigeria, I see everywhere. So I give an example, like I was going when I went home last, someone took me to one of these new markets that was built. And the questions I was asking, what I thought were basic questions, but people are looking at me like I'm from Mars. Like, if there's a fire, how did the fire trucks get to the stores? The roads between the stores are so narrow that a vehicle can't pass.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying you can't have it, but okay, are there fire hydrants? They're looking at me. Okay, where okay, power there, like, oh, there's generator there, but I'm like, the generator is right next to and the tank is right next to this thing. There's no to the structure, there's no shielding, there's no protection. So if there's a fire there, again, where's the firefighting capability? Okay, if there's a fire, where are people going to go? This is right next to the road. Where is the parking space? There should be a designated parking space, so at least everyone is parked over there. If there's a fire, you can say everyone goes to the car park. Or if there's an incident, that okay, vehicles are all there. Or if there's loading, where do you load? Where the vehicles load? Because somebody can say, okay, you're coming to load, you put a bomb. Those basic things that you should be that by now, after over a decade of terrorism in Nigeria, we should now be putting that into our building for public structures. But we don't. We just continue with our anyhow behavior.
Which is very sad. Let me show you this video and then we'll comment on it and then we'll go on a quick 3 minutes break and then we'll just less than 30 seconds break and then what is it? Oh, sorry. Trying to put a video on. What's happening here? Okay. Oh, it's not allowing me to put a video. Interesting. All these systems, they tend to do whatever they like at certain times. Just bear with me for a minute. Allow. Now, the reason why I need to show that video is because there are two things that I want to ask both of you, because I know you've been in the military. Mr. Femi is more into the area of close protection, and there's something that I noticed there that was missing. When you have a church that big, I didn't say anything about first aid. I didn't say anything about trying to move those individuals, trying to resuscitate them. And there's also another video of a woman that was actually saying, help me. The guy making that recording, do you notice that guy was actually laughing when he was making that recording? He was saying, hey, he was actually laughing. He was excited about his recording. He was just excited. And I can't understand how people could be so insensitive, where all they want to do is just record. They're not even trying to help the individuals. What is your take on this? Let me start with Chidi first, and then I'll go to Femi. You can mute yourself. Sorry.
Sorry. So when I saw that video first, I think the part that maybe got me was the young boy being shielded by his father, and then I think I saw a subsequent video where you can actually see the gunshot wound to the boy's head. A close range gunshot wound. So whoever did that did it deliberately, and that was quite distressing. But to go to your central point, it just we're kind of saying the same thing from different angles. Everything about Nigeria is just anyhow. It should be part of the public code that, okay, you're opening a building, a public structure, be it a market, a school, a hospital, a church. There should be certain things that should be enforced, as in fire safety. There should be a certain level of first aid training. You should have, per your capacity, you should have a certain number of first aid trained people. You must have first aid facilities. This should be inspected at least annually. and everyone should be tested annually to make sure they've got skill. But you see it often in Nigeria. There'll be emergencies and everybody just brings out their phone and people are bleeding, dying, choking, even put somebody in a recovery position so that they don't choke on their tongue or choke on their vomit. No, just apply pressure, stop the bleeding. No, people are looking. And again, sometimes it's just voyeurism, but other times it's just ignorance. People don't know what to do. And I'm sure we've all been in a situation where you see all these things and if you're not trained or you don't know what to do, you will also be shocked. And the problem is training. Get people involved. It's not, again, none of this is hard. None of this is expensive. You don't need to bring in Noibo people and multi-billion naira contracts. You can even, any of us can sit down here and do this training over Zoom. It's not complicated. But yeah, in Nigeria, what all you hear tomorrow is whatever minister or sport advisor will come out and say they need so and so billions to do this and that. And that's where it would die.
And you're spot on, because everything is all about the money they can grab out of this situation. Because all this training, like my church, organize those training. We're having a big conference coming up. We'll talk about how we're going to scan things, what measures we put people in place, who's going to go and look at the cars, who's going to check the cars. The police will even come. The ambulance is there outside waiting, in case people and they have orderliness here. That is what I notice is lacking in the Nigerian structure. If there is no money involved, in fact, when you talked about the train, when I got on the Nigerian train from in February from Lagos to Ibadan, I was appalled. I worked with the train company before. I was a revenue inspector, so I understand train safety and things like that. And when I got onto the train, beautiful train, everything nice, but I just thought, oh my God, this is actually a death trap. I looked at it. There was nothing there about safety and security from my perspective. I was like, oh, this is really a disaster. And I saw people walking on the train. I said, you walk on London Underground train. You walk on the Underground train like this, the whole line is shut down because they will tell you there's somebody walking on the track. And here is people just walking and playing football, on the track between Lagos and Ibadan. I was like, what is really happening here? And they built a big hall. There is no shop, nothing in those halls. It's not like there's nothing there. They have their special forces on the train where you see them wearing slippers. I even was attempted to take a picture. I just said, don't get yourself into trouble here. I wanted to take a picture of the one I saw. He was wearing slippers. All that made me know that it's special for him, because he had this T-shirt that they said special squad or something like that. Special squad. I was just like, what is really happening here? You go on UK trains, you see British Transport Police dressed up. You yourself will know everything is there, tear spray, everything. The guy was just walking with his slippers. Mr. Femi, what do you have to say to that? Please, before you respond, if you're watching us right now, I want you to like this page, I want you to share this page, and I want you to tell us where you are watching from. And then we'll go on a short break after Mr. Femi has spoken.
You see, Chidi, what you mentioned is part of what I've been putting into my training program and procedures in Nigeria today. Because I remember when I have used this training just to save myself from the police net before in Nigeria, because I love having engagements with them whenever they stop me on the road. And I tried to ask one of the police officers that, look, you're stopping me, but you know what? Even if you take me to your police station, you will learn from me rather than detaining me or arresting me. And he now asked me, what am I trying to say? I said, look, I will deliver some kind of training program to you guys that's going to be so useful. So he got into a good conversation with me, and the first question I asked was what you mentioned. If there's an attack or if there's an incident over here and somebody is lying down the floor or wherever, how do you put this person into a recovery position? To my biggest surprise, what this guy said shocked my... In fact, Chidi, I never heard him before. He said now to pour buckets of water for him body, he go wake up. Yes. So it shows, even if our police officers don't know it, even if the government is not investing into this, what have we got? Remember, it took a whole lot of time for UK government and SIA to implement this structure, this policy, or more like an enforcement into SIA that whoever is having an SIA badge must be thought first aid and CPR. Now it has come to stay in UK. It has come to stay in so many businesses now. So yes, UK is learning and they are trying to correct a whole lot of narratives. So I think it's high time for Nigerians, Nigerian government, the Nigerian police force, and other security agencies to start thinking about, okay, what can we do? Just like the incident that's happened in Owo. Nobody's actually putting anyone into a recovery position. I saw some horrible pictures whereby bodies that are even still under injury have been packed into vehicle boots.
Yeah.
The true boots, and being driven straight to the hospital. So that means they're going to be having some internal injuries at the end of the day.
Oh, sir, they'll be bleeding internally. There's no doubt about that.
Internally,
And most of them will die as a result of the way they were moved, which is the reason why I asked about the first aid in churches. Even simple first aid. First aid. There was a woman that was at the altar that I think her leg has been blown up. Nobody made any attempt to try and maybe cover her up, try and comfort her. She was just moving her hand like that. And I, oh my God,
it's so horrible that it's not worth what we should be talking about or what we'll be saying. But we can't ignore the fact that this is something that is affecting us right now. Mentally, it's going to affect a lot of us abroad. And again, we have family one way or the other. We've got friends one way or the other that are affected as well. So again, I can only just say, Chidi, don't let us relent. Temitope, don't give up. We are the front runner over here doing all our best to make sure that at least we put our own quarter, we contribute our own quarter into the system in the country. Even if we're not being recognized, that's fine. But at least history will say that yes, we are doing our best and we're putting our best together to make our country great in the eyes of all these storms going on in Nigeria today.
Thank you so much. We're going to go on a less than 30 seconds break, and when we come back, we'll be playing two videos about individuals who were there, and just to listen to what they had to say, and then my speakers will definitely give us their views on that. So just listen to this. Let's have this little break and then we'll be back. Temitope Olodo, I'm a preventive terrorism consultant, author and president of African Security Forum based in the United Kingdom.
Joining me live now to discuss this further is terrorism expert and author Temitope Olodo.
Joined now by Temitope Olodo.
I'm joined now by security analyst Temi Olodo. Good morning, Temi.
Ladies and gentlemen, my people, to be man, no be by muzzle, to be man, no be by plenty bia. Okay, what do you know about security will concern your life, concern your family, and concern your community? How much about politics will concern you and even concern the politics you know about? You want know more? You want sabi as they go? Oh yeah, now introducing Temitope Olodo. Yes, Temitope Olodo. Now the man wey sabi pass sabi. Temitope Olodo na professional and he gets plenty much experience as a security guru. Anything or any matter wey concern security, leave am for am because na him be the baba. Temitope Olodo na diaspora community leader with better experience for community leadership. As a political scientist, Temitope Olodo does study and understand the political space, and he gets over 20 years of news analysis with exclusive interview with top professionals at the top. I mean, them the oga gang where they are at the top. Yes, ke, by Ogonge family. Shine your eye, open your ear. Temitope Olodo na the man wey sabi. Oh yeah, na as they hot, as they come on smoke. Temitope Olodo na security.
Okay, so thank you so much. We're back again, and this time around we have about 10 minutes that will be going live on one or two more issues, and I just wanted to get your I think this is the video. Not this one, because there is another video where the gentleman was giving his own account of what he saw, and I just wanted to This, apologies. There is a video. Let me just try and get it. 'Cause I think that video is very important because I wanted us to. Hold on. Where are you? Where are you? I can't find the video now. Okay, let me just talk about it's a video of a gentleman that was talking about the fact that the Oba of Iwo, where the king just lives very close to the situation, lives very close, and that there's a lot of, and I've seen a view of the main street. So I can't understand. They said they hijacked the car and then they used the car to commit their offense, and then they came in through the back, and then some came through the front, and then they attacked everybody, and then they just left. And I want to talk about response time, because I was listening to UK last week. They were actually talking about response time to 999 calls, and they were saying they respond to 999 calls within 10 seconds of that the incident. Once you call them, within 10 seconds they're picking up the calls. They actually have a performance record, performance target to respond, that when you call within 10 seconds they must pick your call. And I want to talk of how many minutes it takes them to actually arrive at the scene. And I wanted to ask both of you, do you think our security will get to a point where we too can measure, have a good response rate in terms of when we respond? Because Nigerian police have not even responded to this issue. They've not given any press release. Not only have they given any press release, we only saw the military at that venue. The police were not at that venue as of the time when I saw all the recordings that were done by BBC Yoruba. There was no Nigerian police. It was the military that was actually talking to the priest, and I had a video of the priest, talking. So, what is your view on that, Chidi? Let's go with you first.
I think I will sound like a broken record, but again, it all comes from the top. It comes from the leadership. It comes from the people who are supposed to make this happen. So here, if there's any sort of an incident, so like in normal day-to-day job, I know there's something that happened in my workplace, a job we're doing had an impact on the public, and the pressure that came to make a statement, to say something, because everybody knows that engaging with the public is a bread and butter, but they know nothing will happen. In Nigeria, it's Oga at the top. They're waiting for what Oga will say before they know what they will say. Yeah. When in reality, you should be automatically the Oga. If Oga at the top has put down a policy to say that we will, as you said, we will respond, we'll put out a statement to any incident immediately. So here now, if there's an incident, like just good example here in during the Jubilee, there was something happening in Trafalgar Square where there was a suspicious vehicle. They had to do a controlled explosion on it. Before they had already put out a tweet saying this is what is happening. They put out another tweet saying this is what we're doing. There was a constant flow of information, so people knew what was happening. People could see what was going. There will be no panic. People will know that, okay, not only is there something happening, this is why it's happening, and these guys know what's going on. It's a very simple thing. So for the local police command to not even have a statement, even just to come out and say, we are aware of an incident, we are responding. That's all. that's the first thing you need to put out, and then details are still unclear, but there will be periodic updates. That at least tells you that we know what I can tell you. I can guarantee that there will be no official government source that will tell us the names of the people who were killed, the names and the ages. It will not come. Maybe the church might put it out. Non-government actors will put it out, but the government won't. And in about, as I said, tomorrow now we will roll into primary season. Let's see how many primary contenders will even mention this incident, much less the ones from the region. And then whether this would even be a topic in 2-3 days. The Kaduna Abuja train, they kidnapped. They're foreigners that were kidnapped, pregnant women. These are not, I'm sorry to say this, but this is Nigeria. We're not even talking about, peasants, in the villages of Zamfara that, they're being kidnapped every day and nobody knows. We're talking about people who are middle class, going from one big city to another big city, and they're still in the bush, and people are politicking. It's, I'm laughing because it's the ridiculousness is such that it's difficult to even comprehend.
And before I bring in Mr. Femi, I know with regard to the Kaduna Abuja rail incident, you know, the family have to be using the media to be able to get information because nobody is gathering to them together to say, okay, you are the next of kin. This is what we are doing. Weekly updates, to them or gathering them together. Nothing of that. No psychological support. No nothing to help them. Why is it always difficult for our people to make an effort on security management? Why is it a problem for them? Because these are simple things that anybody that is involved in security will know. That you bring people on board, you support them. We've seen videos of Indians that were part of the people that were adopted, and those ones said they would kill them, then they said they will not kill them. And what those people are asking for are their children. So why is it difficult that you can't give them their children? Their children are not mercenary. They're not their children. They say they want their children. And when people are saying they want their children emotionally, they want their children. So why can't you swap children's? They're not saying they want commanders. Why can't you say, okay, give us 2 of the people or 3 of the people, and then you can use that to know where these people are or to follow them up? Or why is it so difficult? Mr. Femi, your view.
Okay, you see why all these stuffs are so difficult these days. We don't have government, or let me say leaders, that are truly passionate about what they swore the oath for, what they truly believed, or why they are in the office. If it were to be in some countries or in some environment, by now everybody should be sitting down and sitting tight. But again, just like what Chidi said, we take everything like a drama in Nigeria. Maybe they rehearse before they start the drama. I don't even know. But for one reason or the other, the audition just happened and then they pick the role and they act it well. But bringing it down to home right now, who are the players? Who are the victims? The people are the victims. And the main players are going to cash in over them. They are going to cash in on them. And again, right now, just like what you said, this is political period. There's going to be loads of tension in Ondo State, and the government will not like, okay, fine. What is the problem? Again, Nigeria, they will mention the word money. And the moment they mention money, so you need money to do X, Y, Z, money will be thrown at them. Again, players will cash in at the detriment of the civilians, at the detriment of the environment, at the detriment of the citizens. That at the end of the day, nothing will be done. Do you want to tell me that right now, Ondo State security will be well fortified due to this incident? The answer to that is no. Chidi, I will support what you've said. In 2-3 days' time, this story is no longer going to be happening again.
Okay.
It's sad, and this is where we find ourselves. That we don't take priority on issues. Rather, we've not learned anything. So to me, like what Nigeria will commonly say, everybody go chop breakfast. So right now, always being served his own breakfast. Who knows who is coming next? Who knows which town is going to be hit hard? Or maybe always the testing ground for the real thing to come. Who knows? Yeah. So we are all just sitting down, watching and still talking about it.
Some people said that because of the current incident, the incident that happened in Lagos a few days ago, which is the banning of all these Okadas and things, that Lagos might be the next on the track for this kind of incident. But we'll wait and see. If you have any advice for church leaders who are watching the unfolding carnage in Owo, what will be, because we're going to close in 2 minutes, in 1 minute, in 60 seconds each, what would be 3 advice you give to them about church security or even school security, to say, you know what, children are going back to school, churches are going back next week Sunday. What should you put in place to ensure safety, at least basic safety and security, to at least to be able to deal with this kind of issue? What would be your advice? Start with Mr. Chidi in 60 seconds.
It's a difficult one, so I'm just going to give advice generally. So the first thing is prevention. everybody leaves a trail, however you want to do it. Even in a country where it might appear that there's a lot of dysfunction, everybody leaves a trail. So it's about and people form a pattern. Whoever attacked this church didn't attack it around. They didn't just go drive around and say pick a church and attack it. They would have gone through all the stages of the pre-stages of an attack. They would have done their reconnaissance. They would have looked at how to get in, get out. All of these things leave a trail. At the same time, as we discussed, hardening the targets, all the things you said, having getting volunteers, having a plan. There's nothing more important than having a plan. What happens if you hear gunshots? Where do you go? Everybody should be aware of it. The priest should start the service with that. The usher should make sure everybody is aware. Should be printed. If there's a fire, go here. If there's gunshots, go here. There's a safe space. The police need to go around, make sure they do a security analysis of every public place, not just places of worship, but markets, schools, etc. And there has to be a huge public awareness campaign to stop reprisals, because if for example it is proven that this is maybe from a particular group against an opposing group, and there are reprisals, then everything just collapse.
Collapse. Yeah. Okay, Mr. Femi.
Well, I really don't have so much to say because what I need to say has been said already. Okay. But my own contribution towards everything is this: we need to change the security architecture, not only in Nigeria, in churches, in schools. All security ushers in either churches, schools, must definitely be fully trained. Not the old style training they used to give them, all this attention, forward march, and all this nonsense. I think it's high time they start retraining them on some high hostile programs that befit the current threat in the country today. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You've heard it from my two guests. The challenge you have here is that our leaders are not doing what they need to do. Of course, not all terrorist incidents could be stopped, but life could have been saved if they had proper first aid. If some of those people have been spoken to about safety and security within the church premises, maybe one or two people will have been saved and they will have been able to tell their story. Maybe if the priest and the church itself have security measures in place, have spoken to the police, and they have a meeting to discuss safety in the workplace or in the church environment, things will have been better. Unfortunately, that has not happened, and we've seen this happen. Our prayer is that it doesn't happen in another state. So my special thanks to Mr. Chidi. Thank you so much. And Mr. Femi, who has dropped off. I think it might be internet connection. And to all our viewers who are watching us, from Italy. I saw some people from Italy. I saw some people from Dubai. I saw some people from Nigeria. I saw Kano. I saw Kaduna. I saw Osun State. I saw Abuja. Thank you so much. And for those that are watching on LinkedIn, those that are watching on Twitter, thank you so much. Tune in again on Saturday where we'll bring you something else to talk about. But until then, stay safe. If the government is not helping you, help yourself and speak to your family and loved ones back home and tell them to be safe. Until we meet again, my name is Temitope Olodo. I'm a preventive terrorism consultant, author, and president of African Security. And it's a great honor and privilege to be able to speak to you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Olodo, I'm a preventive terrorism consultant, author, and president of African Security Forum based in the United Kingdom.
Joining me live now to discuss this further is terrorism expert and author Temitope Olodo.
Joined now by Temitope Olodo.
Joined now by security analyst Temi Olodo. Good morning, Temi.
Ladies and gentlemen, my people, to be man, no be by muzzle, to be man, no be by plenty bia. Okay, what do you know about security will concern your life, concern your family, and concern your community? How much about politics will concern you, and even concern the politics you know about? You want know more? You want sabi as they go? Oh yeah, now introducing Temitope Olodo. Yes, Temitope Olodo na the man wey sabi pass sabi. Temitope Olodo na professional and he get plenty much experience as a security guru. Anything or any matter wey concern security, leave am for am because na him be the baba. Temitope Olodo na diaspora community leader with better experience for community leadership. As a political scientist, Temitope Olodo don study and understand the political space and he get over 20 years of news analysis with exclusive interview with top professionals at the top. I mean them the oga gangan where they at the top. Yes, ke, by Ogbonge family. Shine your eye, open your ear.